Skadoosh. Happy Halloween. Yes, I am dressed up as a Hogwarts alumni from Gryffindor. Yeah. There's no way I could keep this. I'd never survive in corporate life. And here's a Ralph. Ralph, yep. He's so feral, huh? Now, okay. Since right now, almost anyone who's seeing this part is watching after the fact, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And tonight we're going to try again with the Gnome Monk. For those who are unsure what I'm referring to, well, let me go ahead and pull this up. Where is it? There it is. I took the race and class list, or information from an article about the characters that were made on Roll20 at a certain period of time, and arranged them in reverse, or arranged them in commonality. Combined elf and half-elf into one, because most people I know who play elves or half-elves use elf figures, because it's almost impossible to go human, elf, half-elf, and really tell a difference. I also combined sorcerer, wizard, and warlock into the overall caster. So the most common was elf caster, followed by human caster, then human fighter, and then elven ranger, and so on and so forth. And I figured, well, that's the way to get the most common race-class combos. Let's start from the bottom. Yes, Ralph? You are so feral, aren't you? You're just a wildcat, aren't you? So obviously we've already done the Gnome Paladin. And in the process I discovered that I'm starting to get a little bit too shallow with some of my details. Didn't I? Yep. Go ahead. Get off my shoulder. Yeah. Anyway. So of course the next thing is the Gnome Monk. Now what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and mark it that I've done it. File, save. And you can see that next up will be some tieflings, half-orc, halflings, more gnomes, more half-orcs, tieflings, half-orc. And then way up here are dragonborn. Yeah. Thing is, I've already done at least one half-orc bard, but I'm doing a different one because he's going to have violin. And just in case you're wondering, yes, I do have my own wand. Yes, I did design it myself and 3D print it. I also am in the middle of printing the top half of a revised Tarask, where the previous one was kind of hunched over and getting ready to swing. This one is rearing up and roaring and looks a lot more intimidating and has a 3-point stance. So he would end up being 50 feet tall. Okay, 50 feet at 28mm scale. Well, you can do the math yourself and see this is going to be a big sucker. I think I actually used 32mm scale when making this though, so you never know. I did end up putting a couple holes in the geometry when I was removing the supports, and you can see these nice white patches here and here of good old-fashioned Tamiya putty white to fill in that gap. And of course, I'm then going to be not worrying about that because it'll be painted. And yeah, the other half is printing. You can also see that it was printed at a moderately high layer height. It was printed using the Fat Dragon Games terrain profile, which, if I remember correctly, is a 0.2. Hear that? Yeah. Point this more at me. Okay, there we go. And it's waiting. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started with our Gnome. Yes, this is start with the new base geo. And here we have our base male geo. And are we going here's where we have quite a few decisions to make. First of all, first things first, is he going to be an unarmed monk, or is he going to have like a pair of short swords, or what? You know. Secondly, excuse me, is he going to be wearing a tunic? Is he going to be what style of clothing is he going to be wearing? Actually, I forgot something. I forgot to flip the coin. And that ended up on its side. Don't ask how. There we go. Oh! Delete. Beep. Female. Not male. Okay. Now, we're going to parameters, races, and we're going Gnome. Burp. So there was our Gnome. Yeah, that's good enough for now. Actually, let's go ahead and make the shoulders a little bit narrower. And the hips a little bit wider. Yeah, very clearly feminine. Now the next step, oh, we also need to make the abdomen a little bit, no. Yeah. Bring that into there. Because we need it to be a decent shape. Okay. Now, the question is, weapons or no weapons? And what kind of culture is she from? Okay. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to look through our props, or the regular props, and look for an interesting weapon or two. I mean, I've already done one using a large dhow, a dwarf female monk. Lots of bows, beaked axes, crossbows, cutlass, dhow, falchion, flambears, no, glaive, no, goblin knife or saw, no, Hollywood scimitar, nope, hammer, no, comma, maybe. Yeah, let's do commas. And just to from the back view, go to this one, badoosh. Also, let's make sure this is not twisted. Now, we're going to move this so that the hand is kind of centered on the hand. go back to a perspective view, and one thing we're going to do is actually, let's go back to back view. We're going to go to each comma, and we're going to move its center point to the center of the handle, because we're going to need to shrink these guys. And then we're going to need to tweak the hands. There. Right view. There. Okay, now back to perspective. Select both commas, and we're going to shrink them until they look about right. There we go. And that also means that we only need a little bit of tweaking with the thumb, because if you notice, the thumbs are like penetrating. Okay, so let's pull that out to there. Grab this also. We need to grab the index 1 and we're going to open it up a little bit there and bend that finger a bit more. Now here we're going to grab that one, and we're going to bring this one out a bit. Actually, what we really should do is go ahead and expand from selected, bing, symmetry, left to right. There we go. And there we have our monk using her commas. And now we need something for clothing, which I don't have a lot of female clothing right now. I do have the boots, which we're going to use simply because, yes, this is a fantasy medieval. We're also going to put on the short skirt, because excuse me, and with this short skirt we've got to do one other thing. Select it, tool settings, right thigh, scale weights. Okay, and then I'm going to smooth that, and smooth that, here, that, and here. I'm going to hip. Yeah, that's a problem. Let's go ahead and remove the skirt. No, remove the skirt. Turn her back to normal. Or not normal, turn her back to human. And then add on a skirt. And then parameters. Oh, let's take that hip, X scale 100. Now the skirt, going to go to the hip. Content library or tool settings, and the scale weights. our thigh. Left thigh. And now, going back to her parameters, the hip is going to be 107%. No, X scale of 107%. And then Gnome of 100. And it's still doing that. Okay, let's take the left thigh and the right thigh, and what we're going to do is we're going to X scale them smaller. Oh. Okay, we have to make it negative 4.5% to be small enough. Yeah, we're going to have to deal with that in ZBrush. But for now, let's go ahead and just hide the skirt and each one of the commas. Okay, so we can make our pose. We're also going to make the jaw a little bit larger. Just a little bit. Nah, seriously, I realized as I was doing it, it wasn't going to look good. Okay, now, we need to come up with a pose. Anyone here? Oh, there's someone here watching. I don't know who, but someone's watching. And, gonna hide the boots, too. Okay, the pose we want to give this monk is a fighting pose using comma. So I'm going to go back to here. And no respect at all. And go here. You can't see what I'm doing here because I don't want you to. I'm doing an Google image search. Looking for a comma fighting stance. Okay, there's two stances that I see, and both of which are two reasonable stances, both of which are being done by female models, not by actual martial artists. But it's still a decent stance. Something that you could believe would be usable, even if it might not be. Okay? So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and try and take care of that. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go back to young lady here. And we're going to start off with posing the lower body. Let's use this. Alright, first I'm going to take the stance myself over here so you can't see it, because that looks goofy. And then I'm going to try and figure out what hip and torso rotations will be needed. Okay. Okay, kick that way. Okay, so first things first, we're going to kick the hip forward and then to this side. Now we're going to take this leg out to the side and twist it. And we can see that once again we've forgotten to go back in and smooth out some of these maps. Oh, that's not the one that's causing this. That's the one. Yeah. I'm still tweaking the rigging on these things, so don't worry about it. Anyways, kind of smooth out that side-to-side rigging on the thigh. And here's where I wish that they had a repeat function like in ZBrush. Okay. Now, we're going back to here, back to content library. No, back to parameters. And we're going to hear a rather annoyingly upset Ralph for some reason. And let's make the boots visible just so we can make sure we're having the boots come flat. Front view. Thank you. Now Control D to... Oh, what? Oh, I know why. Because the commas. Just rotate it like that. Just to... There we go. And then... Now this leg then kind of comes down, twists a little, and comes forward. Twists a little and comes back. Let's twist again like we did last summer. Perspective view. Okay. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to go and lock the translation and rotation for the feet. So that we can then use the move tool on the hip. Because we want to... Oh, wait. Let's... lock the Z rotation, the misnamed Z rotation, on the shins. Okay, now there we go. And now we're going to go ahead, go back to our front view, and we're actually going to raise this up just a little bit there. And then we're going to go here, we're going to unlock everything. We're going to rotate this foot down. And then start tweaking the foot until it's in the right pose. A little bit out. There we go. And then there we go. Perfect. Perspective view. Okay, we're going to bend the waist forward, bend the chest back, and then we're going to bring it side to side, and a little bit of a twist, because you never want the chest and hips to be parallel to each other or the ground in any respect. So we need to bring this over a little bit more. We're also going to drop this shoulder and bring it back out, and then twist both of these. And just make this comma visible so we can make sure we're getting it right. And let's bring it forward. Okay, now we're going to raise this shoulder a little bit. And we're going to twist just the upper part of the arm and the collar. Bend this so we can see where we're bringing it to. Okay, we actually need to twist this a bit more to be... Because we do want the commas to be kind of parallel and pointing away from each other. Okay. Now, we're going to lean the neck over a little bit and twist the head. And I'm going to open the mouth because he's yelling. And we're going to twist the brows into a frown. Select them both and Z-scale them so that they stick out a bit more. Actually, let's also bend them. Be a bit angrier. Then we frame out. We have our Gnome Monk pose. You'll notice we still don't have what culture she's from. And we're dropping the skirt. That skirt is not behaving. So she'll be wearing leather pants. We're going to hide the boots and each comma. We're going to do a lot of work before we put those back on. Export. File. Export. No, this is not a Tarrasque. This is a new basefig. Broadcast. New folder. Gnome Monk. Body. Accept. Commas. Accept. And boots. Accept. And there we go. And hello, Darkseal. Well, I'm now going to import from my basefig broadcast Gnome Monk the body. Come on, there we go. Draw it in. Turn on edit and change the daggum. Thank you. Now we're going to insert Polymesh 3D, import the boots, and we're going to insert Polymesh 3D and import the commas. Then we're going to hide the boots and commas and start sculpting away on this. But before we do, we're going to do one thing that'll make things a little bit easier on sculpting. First, we're going to subdivide until we're about there. Delete lower, Dynamesh of 768. There. Now what did that do? Well, just watch. And then we hit 111. Yeah. We're gonna beef that out in a minute. Yeah, definitely still need to tweak the female base mesh. The rigging's not perfect yet. I don't have to worry about this because I can always, quote-unquote, fix it in post. But I shouldn't have to, quote-unquote, fix it in post. The less I have to do here, the better. Case in point is the hands are now a lot better than they used to be. I used to have to do all the sculpting of the hands. because I had those mittens with fused fingers. Right. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and smooth this a few dozen times. Hitting 1 after doing an action in ZBrush causes it to repeat that action exactly as you just did it. Ralph, no. Take your paw off. No, no. Take your paw off. Either get up on the cat bed or go down. We got an interloper. An overly affectionate interloper. Do you mind? I'm trying to work. No. Anyway, again, there's going to be some sculpting done in this area. Now, we need to figure out what else we're going to do. Okay, we're going to smooth out the underside and cleavage here, because this is going to be clothing, not nudity. And we're going to do the same thing to the butt. Because this is clothing and not nudity, she does not have a butt crack. And now we're going to redynamize it. The reason for that is so that we can close up some of these smaller holes that we've developed. And we're going to have to do it at least once more according to that. And then let's see if it helps over here. Yes, and here. Yes. Bring it around. Draw. Oh. There we go. And then, yeah, frame out. This is the current state of our gnome monk. Now, most of what we're going to do from here on out will require the whack-em. Now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to load in I'm going to make the boots visible. Okay. However, with these boots, one thing that we're going to do is we're going to make them fade in, because I don't know how high up these boots are going to be. So let's simply smooth out the boots. I'm going to try not to get those wrinkles done. And then here. Let's turn on transparency because it does be easier to deal with this top side. I'll do that, and then we can just shrink that. Okay, then we're going to go to geometry, subdivide it a couple times, that should be good, and dynamesh it at 768. Okay, now we're going to merge down. This is not an undoable operation, I know, and always skip this note. And now I hold down Control. There's no mask, so when I Control drag, oh wait, I forgot, I had turned off Dynamesh. There we go. Now we're going to zoom in. You're going to see that there's a seam still. We're going to reduce that seam to nothing. Do the same thing over here, because this is supposed to be, you know, we don't know where the top of the boots are going to be. We can always tweak that, you know, create a top to our boots. Okay, now frame out, and here she's clearly what kind of footwear. With wrinkles at the toes and the ankles, kind of create a crotch. We're going to do this with the slash tool, and with the slash tool means we've got to come in here and turn off lazy mouse. We're going to reduce the intensity to about there and increase the size to about there. And we're going to start off. There. All that's for is marking. Now we're going to go in with clay buildup and a round alpha. Let's turn that on. And we're going to shrink that, turn off lazy mouse. We're going to build up in here. So we can have a more even leg coming off the hip. Now we smooth it. See, we just got rid of that nice little divot. We have more natural looking layer. And no, kitty. Ralph. No. You're gonna get down. You're gonna get on the floor. Go on, little fuzzbutt. I'll play with you after the show. Anyway, like I was trying to say, we need to move that kind of right for what we're. Let's go ahead and give her, or fix this knee. We're actually going to fix it with the Move Topological tool. Make it bigger. I'm just going to grab the knee and pull it in flat, and then down, and then the whole thing out a little bit. Make clear it's a knee. We're also going to go ahead here and pull it in this way. Yeah, make the bend very clear. Okay. And we have that. The next step is making her clothing. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this more of a tropical style. Okay? And by that I mean we're going to go ahead using the standard brush and the mask. I hold down Control, focal shift to 100%. We're going to go ahead and define where the top of her pants is. And it's going to be right there. And that means we're going to go ahead and do some further masking to make it easier to blend in the lower half. Okay, now from here we go to Subtool, Extract, 0.025, Extract, Accept, and no. That was a 1-800 number. No. And then we're going to take this, and we can see that it's got a nice ridge on the top. That's good. That's going to be easy to paint. And then we're going to go to Geometry, and we're going to Dynamesh it at 256. The reason is 256 is enough of a Dynamesh to seriously, reduce the polygon count while keeping the sharp edges here sharp. We're then going to the Move tool, and we'll make it a little bit bigger, just because this way I've got a nice large chunk when I go to Smooth, which is how I'm going to reduce this back into the body. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. We're going to smooth this in as much as... Oh! You'll notice I accidentally got there. Oh, which means I'll have to come back in just a second. And now, we're going to come at it from this angle. Okay. Okay, now we're going to smooth this. And then just kind of cut out that sharp edge there. And then here, what we're going to do, we're going to hide the body. Frame in, and we can see that there is a problem right there. So, we are going to, under Geometry, we're going to subdivide it a little bit. And now, we're going to trim rectangle, Control Shift, we're going to drag there. Okay, now we're going to bring her body back visible, and we're going to just Move tool to grab it and drag it in. Okay, there we go. Frame. Selecting her, we're going to merge down. Well, for selecting her, we're going to draw. Okay. That was to make sure we didn't have any masked areas. Now we draw and blend it. And we're going to smooth over where the seam is. Just one quick beer. And then we're going to come back over here and smooth over where the seam is. And then here. And thus she has visible pants. And then we're going to give her a bra. Like a sports bra style thing. And before that, I get new batteries for my vape. And looking into the mouth, we might need to inflate her inner mouth a little bit to make it solid. Anyway, the way we're going to handle this is we're going to the standard brush, we're going to shrink it a little bit more, and we are going to draw on with the masking tool, which is holding down Control, where the bra will be. It's going to come around here. Okay, here. And here. Okay. And then we're going to come from here, we're going to kind of, oh, too much. We're going to kind of come down a bit. From here, we're going to kind of come down this way a bit. And yeah. Okay. And then we're going to make ourselves a nice neckline. And we're actually going to Control Alt and erase there because it was getting too close. And then here we're going to come around behind. Whoop. We're going to come around and like that. And then we're going to give it, like I said, kind of like a sports bra. Yeah, there we go. And then, unlike the pants, we don't have to fuse anything. So we can just go to Extract, Accept, Draw, click on her and draw again to get rid of the masking marks. Zoom out. Now we're going to go to this. We are going to go ahead and switch back to Move tool just so we have a nice decently sized mouse, and then blend it like that. Geometry, Dynamesh of 256. Oh, too much. 512. Okay. And then we're going to smooth over a little bit more between. Anyway. Now, I guess the next thing to do is, where is her boots going to be? Well, let's go ahead and make them thigh highs. And when we're going to do that, we're going to basically do what we did for the pants. I'm also going to do that. And do that. That's too much on the back. It's too close to the wrinkles, so I'll reduce it just a little bit there. Yeah, there we go. And now we're going to extract again. Accept, draw, select her, and draw again. Now here, we go to Geometry, Dynamax of 256, bang, bam, boom. Her boots are going to be where a lot of the detail is going to be for this. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and increase the draw size quite a bit, and we're going to smooth out where these boots are. Okay. And we can blend them in. And down here, just kind of barely go over that. But then we're going to come in small over here. Okay, and then kind of just blend off that. These little sharper edges here. Then we're going to subdivide it a couple times until it's about 300 will do. Subtool, selector, merge down, and draw. There we go. Not draw, but control draw. And now we blend in the seams again. I'm not going to blend in there because our behind the knee bend. However, here I am. Okay. And now we have her basic non-armor clothing. One thing we do need to do, let's go ahead and color fill object, make sure it stays white whenever we're doing something so it all looks good. Color fill object. Okay. So, basic clothing, not counting arm echoes. Okay. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to start adding details on the legs, but first we're going to shrink the slash down, and we're going to increase that bend in the back of the knee, because it's just a little annoying. Let's shrink this down a bit more, and there. Okay. Now, we're going to smooth out here and here. Obviously, we already have that. We're going to make them a little bit deeper. We also have to smooth out that toe. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing to the 2 wrinkles on the back of the heel. We don't need to do the ones on the back of this heel simply because it's got really nicely deep and odd the bend itself. Now here we do need to kind of bring up another one this way just to keep it that wrinkle look. And we also have to do it here. There. And then we also need to go ahead and add in some under the knee wrinkles. And then go to add and increase that to 7. Oh no, let's make it 8 and 1 size smaller. And then we're going to kind of bring it around like this. Bring it around like that. And then here we're going to come around, bring it under, and bring it through here and through here. And then in the back, we're going to make it we're going to draw in 2 really deep wrinkles in the back of this knee. Drop that back down to 7. I'm going to kind of bring it around and then bring it around like this. Okay. Alright, that's our wrinkling detail for the boots. Now we need to add further detail. We're going to use Dam Standard with a small but deep cut. To draw out where alright, first of all, that's not smooth enough, so that lazy radius needs to go up. We're going to draw out where the heels are. These are flats, but even flats have soles. You know, even redheads have soles too. Although most of them steal them, and that's where the freckles come from. They get a freckle for each sole they steal. Didn't know that, did you? Okay, well, we're going to frame that out. And we can see that there's some pretty, she's wearing some high heels. Alright, now we're going to seam 25 or seam 21? Seam 21. And it's going to be big. And it's going to be intensity. No, 16 will do. We're going to come up the side. We're going to tilt it slightly and mask there. We're then going to turn on back face masking. And then come up. Wait, we also need to mask off above the boot. Yeah. Let's shrink it down a little bit. And we're going to come down this way. Okay. As you can see, it came out pretty good. It's pretty clear that that's a scene. Thing over here on this side, which means we need to tilt and tweak the position until we get a nice angle for masking the top of the thigh, and then masking the bottom of the sole. Okay. And then draw. Okay. Now we need to shrink that right there, or smooth that. There we go. Frame out. Okay, she needs a belt of some kind. Oh, sorry. When I do decimation, it could be anywhere from 35K to 70K, depending on the figure. And hello, German 3D printing nerd. Alright, sorry about that. I didn't even notice them messaging me. This is why I need a co-host. And now I'm going to the rope brush. The reason for this rope brush is I'm making her a rope belt. So, first things first, we're going to turn on transparency. There's a reason for that. We're going to start up the top here, and we're just going to follow around, and then connect. Okay. And then we're going to connect. And then we're going to zoom in so I can. Okay. Now I hit. That was a smart hotkey I created that split unmasked points, or split masked points is now the U button. And I'm going to grab here. I'm going to move this out so that it's not sinking in too deep, because it will. Okay. Frame out. Okay, now I'm going to go back to her. Undo the curve. Turn on transparency again. This is so that I can draw on another there we go, there's that. Oh, that's too much. Okay, U, and then U. Let's go back to move. We're going to move this out. Whoop. Move here. I'm going to move it out. we're then going to blend, or not blend, but merge all three of these ropes together. And under geometry, we're going to subdivide it once, twice. Okay, delete lower. Now, going back to her, back to transparency, and we're going to this. This is an insert mesh brush. And I have a knot here. Depth is good, because it's going to need to be kind of, I'm just going to click here and draw until the ropes are about the same size as the ones in the actual belt. I'm going to use the move tool to play around with its placement, and that's good enough for me. Now, you select here, and once again, geometry, we're going to divide it once. That's all we need for this. Delete lower, and we're going to merge down. Okay. We're going to hide it then, because we need to be able to draw on our wrinkles on the pants. And I can already see we've got one major problem right down here, and that's going to be a smoothing issue. Just smooth it out to flatten it out, kind of. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright. Now, no, still not enough. Okay. There we go, that's better. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go back to slash. We're going to start off with the sub of 14. And we're going to draw on our slashes. Primary one there. A little bit of secondary one there. And one here. There. And then we're going to come around here. Okay, now we're going to kind of just barely tap across the ends of these wrinkles. Okay, and then here it's going to be just very faintly there, and then we're going to come, actually, let's start off here, here, here. And here it's just going to be just a little bit. Now we're going to make the mouse a lot bigger, and we're going to add. Well, first let's smooth out the ends of these. And we're going to mark it on the bottom. Oh, we need to drop the intensity down to 10. Bottom third of each wrinkle. Okay. Third or less. You just want to make certain that the bottoms of the wrinkles are below the midpoint. And here we're just going to kind of do what we did with the boots. We're going to make a wrinkle like that. We're going to kind of bring this across this way. And we're going to blend out the ends of these wrinkles. Once again, just to give it the clothing feel. Subtract a little bit, just a little bit. Go back to add. And now on this side. Okay, that makes it look like cloth. And let's smooth out that area. And just a little bit up there. Okay. And now, the shirt. The shirt is different from the trouser rest because it is a separate item. It means we can be a little bit more creative. We are going to dynamesh it again, and then subdivide until we've got about there, yeah, delete lower. And we're going first to, let's go to the light box, brushes, and stitch 2. Let's see, which of these do we want to use going down the center of this armored bra? Let's use seam 7. Okay, and let's see what happens when we come straight up seam 7. Okay, it's not big enough. That detail's too small. Not intense enough. So we're going to bring that intensity up to 24. And just to see, yeah, that was too intense. Look at the threads. So let's drop this back down to about 18. And come down. And still too intense. No, it's not too intense. I'll show you why. We go to inflate. Shrink the mouse a bit. Just a bit. And kind of come down here and here. And what that'll do is that'll thicken those threads a bit. Make them a bit more visible when it comes time to print and paint. And it'll also actually bring the cloth together there. Down the back, we're going to do the same stitch. Where is it? Seam 7. Oh, no, we need to come this way. And then inflate. Okay. So as you can see, she's turning into more of a fantasy monk, and not so much a real-world kung fu monk. So our next step is to go ahead and make bracers. And the way we're going to make these bracers is very simple. We're just going to mark off a rectangle on the wrists. There. And then with this one, we're going to kind of have to There we go. Bracers. And then we're going to extract them at 0.03. Make them nice and thick. Accept. Draw to turn off the masking. Now, when I say I also got to do it here, the masking's still there, so I click and drag to remove that masking. Okay? And now we got the bracers. Now, just for those who are keeping track, we've been working on this for an hour and 15 minutes since I opened the show. Now, we're going to make sure we've got them selected. And we're going to Dynamax them at 256. And then we're going to subdivide them until they're about there. No fuzz. I've got the tablet in my lap. Don't come up in the lap. We're going to seam 16, or seam 16. Yeah, seam 16. Because what this will do, this is going to be our metal overlapping metal. And obviously that wasn't enough. So we're going to change this to 20 and make it a little bit bigger. And it's on the inside of the forearm. There. And here. Okay. That's all we're doing with seam 16, because the next thing we're going to is layer. And we're going to bring this layer up to 100. We're going to drop it down to 35. We're going to switch to drag dot. And let's see, how big is that? That's a little too big. 1, 2, 3, 4. A little bit too small. There we go. It's rivets on the inside of the bracers. Then we're going to switch the alpha to alpha 48. For those who have ZBrush, alpha 48, when you use it with layer, makes an almost perfect dome on a flat surface. And is great for knobs and certain types of rivets. We're going to add another rivet up top here. A rivet on the back. Well, not rivet, these are actually studs, but yeah. A rivet right here. Frame the whole figure. Zoom out a little bit because we're going to be checking how it looks with commas. Okay. The single biggest significant thing missing right now for this month with commas is hair. What we're going to do for the hair is very simple. We're going to go up about here, and we're going to, there. We're going to extract it at 0.03, and that's it. Yeah, 0.03, extract, accept. We're then going to kind of get to a point where we can get it flat. We're going to Control Alt there, and then Control click, and then no, we're not going to use the move tool. We're going to use move. Actually, frame, zoom. We're going to masking. We're going to grow or shrink mask. Sharpen. Shrink. Okay. Then we're going to zoom out and pull up. And we can see that was a mistake. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. We're now going to go to deformation. We're going to go to polish 1. So we get okay. Now we're going to shrink this, turn on transparency, grab the bottom, drag it down. Okay. Then we're going to off. Right, no, we gotta subdivide and then dynamesh it. And what we're going to do here, when we extract, we're going to turn off double. And we're also going to make it 0.05. Accept. Draw. Click here, draw. Oh, and just to make sure. Okay, good. Now we're going to use move with a much bigger here. We're going to kind of pull it up like this. And we are then going to go ahead and dynamesh it at 128. Deformation polish of 10. And then inflate until there. Okay, and we're then going to subtool, and not subtool, geometry, and we're going to subdivide it a couple times. Then we're going back to this. We're going to go to geometry, Z-remesher, half. The reason we're going to do this is we're about to reduce the poly count of that significantly so we can deflate it without warping the overall shape. Because this is going to be basically just the little, lots of things wrapped around, and then the hair comes down. Okay, went to 121,000. Do it again. It's going to go to 60,000, or so probably closer to 46,000 because it's so simple. $56, okay. Once we're going to do it until it's really, really, really low poly. I've been using ZBrush since ZBrush about 3, like 2006, 2007. So it's taken me a long time. And to be fair, I picked it up pretty easily the first time. I have a background in actual sculpting, physical sculpting, and I have a tablet. It feels a little bit more natural to me than working in a polygon modeling program. Okay, that's about where I want it. Now, we're going to go to deformation and we're going to deflate it. Inflate negative. There, that's good. Now, we're going to geometry and we're going to subdivide until we get quite a few thousand. Yeah. Now, the next thing is we're going to make sure it's as upright as we can make it. And then we're going to draw on a whole lot of thin lines, like that. And the reason for this, it'll be clear in a moment. Okay, and then click once, and then masking, blur once, blur twice, blur a few times. Deformation, and then we're going to deflate it even more. Then we're going to click once to invert it, and we're going to inflate. And then we're going to get rid of the mask. There you see that. We go to the subtool, we're going to go to the hair part, and we're just going to kind of use the clay build-up tool. We're going to kind of build up the shape on the sides around the top. We're also going to turn off these commas to get them out of the way. And on top, build up. Okay. Then we can see that it should hang back. So we're going to grab it with the move tool and make it a bit bigger. Grab it here. And then pull it back that way. And kind of pull it. It's still going to be against there because we want it to be for painting and printing purposes. We don't want it to be a hugely deforming mass, you know, where it's got to require a huge number of supports and is very fragile. We want it to have its own support, but still. And then we're going to kind of just pull that out a bit. Okay. Let's frame out. Punk or Shadowrun type scenario, or somebody's playing a vertically challenged cyberpunk street sam. We're then going back to geometry. We're going to Dynamesh 256 bidding, because we need to smooth this out a little bit. There, and there, and there. Okay, now we're going to detail the hair, and it's going to be mostly done. And we're going to detail the hair with a clay build-up brush, but we're going to shrink this down a bit, increase the intensity quite a bit. And we're basically going to just subdivide it. On. Whoop, that was my thumb on the button. And let's hide her because her arm's in the way. And kind of. While I love autosave, it coming on in the middle of me trying to do something is annoying. So you can see what we're doing here. We're drawing on the individual strands. Not the individual strands, the individual locks. Okay. We're then going to go to slash. We're going to shrink it down a bit. Z sub of 16. We want to dig it in deep. Oh, that was add, not sub. There we go. Like I said, we're going to dig it in deep. Like for those who remember the old Peter Gabriel song, digging in the dust. Yeah. Which, because I'm old, might only be me. And just bring this down to here. And then here. And here. let's just start tracing dividing lines here. Okay. And then let's turn her back on and commas. Frame out. What we currently have for our let's turn her off real quick because we do need to get some on the underside here. So it's going to go to the standard brush and we're going to turn on alpha 8. We're going to make it big and we're going to switch to drag dot and increase that intensity and turn off that lazy mouse. I don't think we'll ever really need to worry about it, but it's there. Now for the commas, there's not a lot we need to do because commas are very simple weapons. We're going to geometry, and we're going to subdivide until it's nice and smooth. Then we're going to go back to layer and switch the alpha back to the original alpha, which I believe was alpha 6. We're going to shrink it down a little bit and put a little rivet there and there on each side of these commas. To represent how they're held onto their handles. Just a little detail, but almost always important. Okay. Frame out and zoom out. And we have our gnome monk. I am not going to be putting her on a base yet because the newest versions of these figures are going to come without a base. The reason being is that there are so many free bases, you can place them on whatever base you want. I've got several online, and for example. Now, we're going to merge down until everything is all one subtool. Okay, it's all one subtool. We go to geometry. We see that it's ready to be dynameshed, so I control drag. And there we go. The next thing I have to do before we do anything else that I just remembered, well, first we're going to smooth out that part of the eye because it's got a couple lines in it. Then we're going to inflate. No, I did not want to click that. Inflate. Shrink this, and we're going to auto masking backface mask. Zoom in. We're going to inflate here until it's a single Alright, here. Okay. And here. And then just in case, we're going to turn on, under display properties, we're going to turn on double-sided. And nope, nothing really jumped out on the face. Okay, good. Now down here we need to do a little bit more. Let's draw, and it dynamicks that. Now we're just going to smooth it. And I forgot to do this. Got to do it here. Okay, now we'll control. Yeah. Oh, shrink it so a bit more control. And then we're going to inflate down here. Okay, frame. There we go. We have our Gnome. And so now I'm going to do one last draw. And I go to Z plugin, Decimation Master. She's small, but she's also pretty moderately detailed with the seams, various seams and the boots, the robe, the hair. We're going to go with custom of 50,000 points, 100,000 triangles. Click. Analyzing mesh. And reordering. And it goes from 1.255 million to 100,000. Yay! Yes, I am. I am using a Wacom Intuos. And I even made my own little custom mouse stylus holder. It's a Green Lantern. Yeah. Anyway, it's 9:06. This is now our finished gnome. Took me an hour and a half from unposed geometry, which I've got a basic figure, to get to here. We're going to go ahead and export as Fem Gnome Monk. Very simple. And pop over to here. Yes, happy Halloween. So, I guess what's going on next is, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and show that, oh, I already turned it off, the class list. As you saw, well, those of you who watch after the fact, now I don't think everyone who's currently watching was present when I started. I have a basic geometry figure. Let's go ahead and just pop over there. Basic geometry figure with props and basic clothing types that I then turned into. Let's go ahead and hide this so it's file, import, new base fig, broadcast, Gnome Monk, Fem Gnome Monk. That came from that. you can see where a lot of the sculpt comes from on the original. Interesting, huh? Well, it is now 9:08. It's a little early, but I got everything done before the 2-hour mark. So an hour and a half long Gnome Monk. This does mean that next Thursday will be a Tiefling Barbarian. Or a Beefling, if you prefer. Imagine a Tiefling utterly jacked and shredded, totally shredded. Yeah. That's next week. And like I mentioned before, I've printed the bottom half of my updated Tarask. Just for comparison, this is a size huge wyvern. Just 1 foot is as big as his torso. 1 claw is as big as his head, or bigger. Yeah, this is the revised Tarask. Working on the second half is printing on the Ender 3 in the other room. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is it's time for me to go ahead and say goodnight. What I normally do is I go ahead and I hold my hand up, and I count from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I say something goofy, deep, or pithy, and then go, When I see my finger do the on the broadcast, that means I've caught up with YouTube's lag, and it's time to go ahead and click the broadcast end button. Okay? So that's going to be a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. My biggest problem with Trask and almost all of the art from official sources, its shell goes from the back of its head to the top of its tail as one piece. It shouldn't be able to move. Good night.